What is up, Bright Prospect Scholars? And welcome to another presentation. This one is really important to me because I love community college and what they offer and just their whole deal. It's really great. And I also like this because this presentation is a great opportunity to dispel some of the stigmas and some of the negative myths about community college, just so that I could really show you guys that it's much more than what people assume it is. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so what to expect? These are just some of the major points we're going to cover today. We're going to learn all about community college, who, what, where, how. We're going to go over costs, different resources community colleges offer, and we're also going to talk about something very important, that's financial aid. Okay, a lot of good details in here. Be a great opportunity to take notes, remember some of these important concepts. Okay, introduction to majors and degrees. So this is just some fancy words for what you're going to study when you get there. Okay. And this is another question I get asked a lot is how hard is college and am I ready for college? I get that a lot from a lot of students that I tutor and that I coach, and it's a very reasonable question, and we're going to get into that. Okay. And then we're going to get into something very special. And this is something that you won't hear very often from other sources of information about college, and that is the transfer programs that community colleges offer. We're going to get all into that, okay? So let's continue here. Okay. Some of the scholarly objectives for today, we're going to learn the relationship between education and financial income. Now, this is going to blow some of your minds, okay? The world's expensive, and I'm going to show you just how expensive the world really is. Okay. Then we're going to try to develop a strong understanding of the community college system and then the specific resources they offer. We're going to get into that in really specific terms. We're also going to explore the difference between majors, degrees, and certificates, because it's not always about majors and degrees. There are certificates that you could get at any time in a community college alongside your degree, if you so choose. And then we're going to get into the challenges and student readiness and what we can do to prep ourselves for this experience. And one of the last things I want you to take away from today is that understand that the transfer programs are your first step to a bachelor's degree and beyond. So keep that in mind as we move forward. Okay. This was an opportunity where I would love to hear some of your New Year's resolutions. This is a presentation occurring in January. This was the icebreaker we had. You know, I'm always happy to hear about your New Year's resolutions after this presentation. So this is a little chart that breaks down the weekly income of 2020 on average according to education or your degree. So if you look at it here, we start off at less than a high school diploma. So Americans who have less than a high school diploma earn about $600 a week, okay, on average. And then we have high school diplomas, but no college. They earn maybe, 770, less than $800 a week. Some college, but no degree, getting close to earning $1,000 a week. Maybe 900, something along those lines. An associate's degree, which is what most people get from community college, that's a 2-year degree. You're looking at closer to $1,000, but not quite there. Now we're getting into a bachelor's degree. That's a 4 to 6 year degree. That is, you're looking at, weekly, taking home more than $1,300 a week, which is pretty good. And above that, the master's degree, which is an additional 2 years, sometimes 3 years after your bachelor's. And that, well, you can start earning about $1,600 a week. A professional degree, which is if you're a lawyer or you're like a medical doctor, stuff like that, you're looking at just around just under $2,000 a week, $2,000 a week, and that's also true for the doctoral degrees, which are PhDs. You're looking at about $2,000 a week, which is a pretty good amount of change, if you ask me. Yeah, and that's weekly, okay? So, and this is a really interesting chart because it shows also the income on an annual basis, but also the unemployment. So not only do degrees and certificates and education allow you to earn more, but they also allow you uh, to have more employment opportunities in the first place. There's only 1% of doctoral degrees, people with doctorate degrees that are unemployed during 2002, according to this study. This is the most accurate study I found, supported by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. That's compared to less than a high school diploma. There's 5.4% of the population that is unemployed because they don't have any degrees. So that's a huge difference. And just keep that in mind if you're contemplating your futures. So this was an opportunity. I wanted to know, like, okay, so given that information, how many of you guys wanted to go to school? All right, so that's something I want you to ask yourselves now. Given that information, what do you want to do with your life? And I have some other important information to go along with that. So a family of 4, their estimated monthly cost of living without rent is $3,800. That's without rent. That's just what it costs to pay bills, groceries, clothes, or just whatever the cost of living is in Los Angeles. This is also in 2020. For a single person, just you by yourself without rent, cost of living is about $1,000. Okay, that's monthly. And remember, California is still 20% cheaper than New York. So let's get into what rent costs then. So that was cost of living without rent. This is what rent costs in Los Angeles average. A 1-bedroom in Los Angeles typically costs $1,600 a month to rent, while a 2-bedroom costs around $2,200 a month to rent on average. So that's a lot of money. Okay, and taking the information we have from that previous chart, and I'm just going to go back, just a second, with those figures in mind, really take some time to calculate what you might want and what it might take to get to where you want to be when it comes to your financial security. Okay. All right. So moving on to who attends community college. Very, very common question. And remember, I started off by talking about how some people view community college as a lesser kind of college experience, or you weren't good enough to go straight to a 4-year university, stuff like that. That's my goal today, is to change that perception people may have. Okay, because community college is for everybody, and you're going to be shocked by some of the people who graduated from community colleges. Okay, but in general, community college is for anyone who's seeking a 2-year associate's degree, or credit to transfer to their 4-year degree. And there's also programs that they offer, like certificates and such like that. And we'll get into that more specifics in a little bit. But these are some people who went to community college. Okay, we got a president, Richard Nixon. He attended community college. Take a second. Do you recognize any of these other folks here? We got Gwen Stefani, Steve Jobs, Mickey Mouse, Walt Disney, Morgan Freeman, Tom Hanks, what's his name? Lucas, the guy who wrote Star Wars and all that. Arnold Schwarzenegger, James Dean. Yeah, just a lot of people. So there is absolutely nothing wrong with going to community college. It is a great step to the future. Okay, so anyone tells you otherwise, just let them know Mickey Mouse went to community college, and that's that. We win. Okay. So what do community colleges have to offer? So we've already talked about associate's degrees, and we're going to get a little more specific about that. But they also offer certificate programs. They offer career programs and career training, but they're also close to home. So if you don't want to go far, or you just can't afford to go to some other school, like your 4-year or something like that, or your university or your CSU, there's a community college down the street from you. In most cases, that's the way it goes. They're way cheaper. They're so much cheaper. Then we're going to get into that also. Then going into a university or a CSU. You also get more time to explore options and interests as far as your education, your options and your interests while you're there, because it's really a great introduction to all the resources and just kind of like, college life in general. You can also benefit from smaller classes and more direct contact with the faculty, because compared to the universities, you could be in a classroom with like 200 students in a university, and you'll never get attention from the professors, okay? But you'll have the option in a class that's 20 to 30 students at a community college. They're just smaller scale, and it's more personable, it's more direct contact, and it's better. I like it. Uh, Also, you just might go because you had it just you were unable to qualify for the university system right out the gate, and there's no shame in that. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that too. But here are just some other resources that all community colleges offer. They have disabled student programs and services, DSPS. They have food pantries, free farmers markets, financial aid, and some vouchers for local places to go get food, stuff like that. A lot of churches also volunteer to open their food closets to students. Um, Undocumented students are all welcomed at community college. It's safe, no one's gonna give your information away or try to get you in any trouble. So there's nothing to fear there. There's EOPS, Extended Opportunity Program and Services, which they provide certain resources to low-income students or like housing needs and stuff like that. It's just so many things that they offer. The Next Up program is housing and financial need for students who've been in the or still in the foster program, or they were foster children themselves. They're there to help you. Okay. But besides that, they have resume help. Anybody at any time can go into the most community college centers and go to the writing center and ask for help with whatever they have, and that's true for anybody. I used to work in community college writing centers, and we would go over people's resumes or other homework assignments for other schools or whatever, and that's available to you too at any time. Okay. There's a lot of athletic associations. There's swim classes, there's cooking classes, there's you could get a reduced public transportation rates. There's even low cost childcare. So there's all these things that make it way easier to attend college because this is made for the surrounding communities, okay? And they have all this resources there for you. Okay. But are they all the same? No, that's not necessarily true. So there are 116 community colleges in California, but they're all pretty unique because they all represent their local demographics or local area, or whatever. It's kind of like, okay, so for instance, like Mount Sac, uh, they have a lot of farmland because they have a lot of acreage there, and they have farm programs and veterinary programs and stuff like that because they could house the animals there. You won't find that at Fullerton College, So Fullerton College just has some ducks and geese and pigs and stuff, but they're much smaller. So yeah, so that's just one instance. There are some schools that specialize in certain things, like I think Cal Poly. If I'm not mistaken, I think they have a brewery class there. They also have they're like a technical school, so they have a lot of those options as opposed to other schools who may have different focuses. But they all do offer, the same standard of quality, the same standard as far as your associate's degree or the degrees and the programs they offer. They're all credited, they're all official and everything. So you're always going to get quality. Just you might find a little bit of differences between them. There's also one more important thing, and that's something you do want to investigate before you choose your community college, and that is the agreement that community college may have with different CSUs and UCs regarding their transfer agreements and the transfer program agreements. And that's because the community college will often have those agreements with the CSUs and the UCs that are within close proximity. So keep that in mind. Okay. And we're going to, of course, talk about transfer programs in a little bit. So, but when it comes time, how do I apply? But I'm here to tell you the best way is to just reach out to Bright Prospect, because we can walk you through the whole process. Whether it's inside or outside of our offices, we're here to support you along the way. Okay, but you could also visit the www.cccapply.org website, which is the main hub for community colleges in California. They can link you to like all the other schools. You could find applications there, and you can learn about all the fees that may be involved when you do apply and how you can waive some of those, of course. but I can't stress it enough. Make an appointment with Bright Prospect, and we will get you started to go while you're in high school. Okay, but don't delay. When it's time, keep those enrollment dates in mind, because to miss one may mean you gotta wait like a semester or a year sometimes. So keep that in mind. Oh, here's a pro tip: create an email address for all things college related if you don't already. Okay, and don't use a silly name. Be sure to use a professional style email address. Because you're going to be giving this to teachers, professors, students in your classroom. So have something that's kind of short, really easy to understand and to communicate. We all have. I mean, I have a silly name address for my other things like my video game accounts, but for when it comes to professional stuff, I have one for that. So keep that in mind, please. So what does it cost? This is a huge point when it comes to community college compared to the UC or CSUs. It is significantly cheaper than the UCs or CSUs, and much easier to get free tuition. And we're going to get into that right now. So tuition at community college is in 2022, it is $46 per unit. So if you take 12 credits per semester, you're looking at paying about $5,222 if you did not get any aid at all, just zero aid. Okay. So just an example of how significantly cheaper that is. At a CSU, tuition runs about $11,000 per year for a full-time student. So $11,000 versus $5,000. And if I'm not mistaken, a community college, a university like a UC is about $40,000, but I'm not sure. That might change more quickly than these do. So let's look at how we can get that paid for. This is all about all the financial aid. Well, some of them, there's so much more available, but this is some of the big ones, okay? So the FAFSA, this is your main one, okay? This is where you're gonna start off. It's the free application for federal student aid. That's what it stands for. This is your first step for applying for all financial aid, federally at least, okay? And then we have the equivalent, basically, for DACA students or the Dreamers, and that is the California Dream App application, which is for children who were brought to the U.S. under the age of 16 without proper visa or immigration documents. And you're still going to get some aid for your community college, and that's wonderful. And remember, it's also very safe and secure. You're not going to get, you're not going to get pointed out or anything like that. Okay, and there's also a lot of Pell Grants available. And these are federal Pell Grants, and I think there are some. I forgot. There's the way Pell Grants work is you could choose between two types, and one of them has a different interest rate accruement than the other. So keep that in mind. And then there's a CCPG, which will cover that $46 per unit enrollment, or that $5,000 total tuition of your community college, basically making that free for you. For me, it was free. For most people I know, it was also free. Okay, so most people will easily qualify for the CCPG. Okay, and then there are a ton of other things like low interest loans. There's work study on or off campus. There's a ton of scholarships. There's assistance with books and living costs, and including housing. And there's just a plethora of things. So I couldn't go into all of them, unfortunately, but they will help. They'll be more than happy to help you once you get to community college. Oh, here's some pro tips. Your parents must file taxes in order for you to be eligible for aid. Okay, so in order for you to apply for the FAFSA properly under the age of 18, you have to your parents have to file taxes. Okay, and that's super important. And I know a lot of that's out of your control because it's your parents' taxes, not yours. But you can also, encourage them, be like, hey, mom or dad or guardian, if you don't want to pay for this, let's work together and let's file those taxes so I can get into community college. Okay, and this is also super important, and that is to go full time if that's possible for you. Okay, because you will get more financial aid that way. You will get almost nothing if you're part-time. Okay, and I know it's really tempting to go part-time because in high school you didn't really get a choice. Okay, but in community college you do, but you also want to go full-time so that you can get all the aid that's available to you. Okay, so keep that in mind. I know it's tempting, but part-time will end up costing you way more money. Okay. Oh, here's a super amazing limited edition NFT pro tip. Number one, Bright Prospect offers a scholarship. This is huge, you guys. We offer a scholarship to students based on need. After you've filled out your FAFSA and after you've collected all the other financial aid that's available to you, we offer scholarships ranging from $500 to $5,000. Okay, so I mean, come on, that's huge. But all you have to do, and this is important, is you have to stay engaged with Bright Prospect. Okay, you can't just come to us in the last day and say, "Hey, I need money. Give me." Okay, we have to know you. You have to have been in our sessions, communicated with us, been known, and show that you're active with us. It's of course joined the program, of course, but not just joined, but participated in and stuff like that. So keep that in mind because this is free money on the table. Okay. Okay, now we're gonna get into some majors, and here's a list, and this is by no means a complete list. There are tons and tons and tons of majors, and they're making new ones all the time. Okay, um, but these are just some of the big ones. There's English, that's what I did. There's people study, education in general. There's health science and technology, liberal arts, and this is interdisciplinary studies, repair, production, construction. I mean, there's so much. So. Don't feel too much pressure to automatically know what you want to do because you're going to get a chance to kind of um, explore them if you don't already have that idea what you want to do. So just keep that in mind. Okay. And we'll talk about that a little bit. Oh, this was just a poll just to see, I wanted to know if anybody had an idea if they have interest, strong interest now, or if they still are undetermined. I just wanted to get a feel for that. And again, there's nothing wrong with being undetermined. I didn't know what I wanted to study when I was in high school. I certainly did not. Okay. And we're going to talk about that a little more here. So this slide addresses that in particular. Okay. And what if I don't know what I want to study or major in? What if I'm uncertain about what I want to do as a career? Totally okay. Not a problem. What you could do is you could take career placement surveys on campus at community colleges. Those are really fun because they like test your personality and your interests, and they'll say, "Hey, you might like this, that, or the other thing." You could also choose to pursue current passions if you have them. You could just you could research different career choices and professions, or explore new interests. But two things that I really think are important is to be realistic and don't follow someone else's dream. Okay, like for example, my dad is a chemist. I am not a chemist person. I do not dig chemistry. Okay, I'm sure I could do it if I wanted to, if I set my mind to it, but it just does not. It doesn't entertain me as much as the current passions I have did and what I studied. So I had to be realistic, and I was glad that I was realistic. Okay. But the main thing is that you imagine yourself in the future. What do I want to do the rest of my life? And how am I supposed to get there? Okay. And again, Bright Prospect is here to help you with that. But whatever you choose, don't take long because time is money in community college. Okay. You don't want to be undetermined major for very long because when you choose a major, it's like you start and then you have to continue something. So if you started becoming like, oh, I want to be a bio major, but halfway along the way you're like, no, I want to be a math major, then you gotta basically start all over, okay? Because those two may not have very many units that transfer between them, between the majors. So yeah, keep that in mind. Okay, so you've heard me talk about Associates of Arts, your AA, your associate's degree, Associates of Science, and we're going to talk about that right now, okay? And then we're also going to talk about the AAT and the AST, which are associate's degrees, but they're the ones that are for transfer programs. Okay, so an AA or an AS, your Associates of Art or your Associates of Science degrees, are undergraduate degrees awarded after you basically go through a school after high school that was that you took a program in for 2 to 3 years. That's basically the length of time it takes for a community college associate's degree. Okay, and those associate's degrees, whether they're in science or the arts, they provide you the basic technical and academic knowledge and the structure to pursue those fields further. Okay, so they teach you the basics, and when then you move forward in your academic career to other degrees, you will learn more advanced things in those fields. Um, so it's a great starting point, you know. It's and it's a wonderful degree. You can do a lot of stuff with an AA degree, and it's so cool to say, yeah, I got a degree, I got my associate's degree. It's great. Okay, and the AA and the AST, the AAT and the AST, those are transfer agreements between community colleges and their universities counterparts or their CSU counterparts. And it's a degree program where you say, yeah, I want to do an associate's of art transfer degree. So basically, they give you all the instructions and you sign an agreement. And if you follow all those instructions and you uphold your part of the agreement, and when it's time for you to graduate with your AA, you automatically get acceptance into that college or that university that you had that agreement with. And we're going to get into that a little more, okay? But there are also apprenticeships and certificate programs. Apprenticeships are pretty cool. So you could work directly with a master electrician or a master plumber to learn alongside them and learn alongside them, and they train you. And after so many hours of being an apprentice, you become a master and you become licensed in the field or certified, and you're ready to go. Okay, they also have certificate programs, such as nursing programs. And I understand that now you could get an RN, your registered nurse's license from a community college. That is so huge, because in a registered nurse, they make really good money. Okay, so do people who are in medical billing and coding. You can get your certificate to do that at a community college. A welder certificate, that's really good certificate to have. And also, this really interesting statistic I read is that people who have certificates or apprenticeships, or who have they've gone through apprenticeships and they have their license or certificate that way, they often have more stable job security during difficult times than people who have like bachelor's degrees and stuff like that. You know, and that's because like they're still out there working. You know, like we're in COVID and a lot of the schools are shut down and stuff like that. So those people are finding it a little harder than these folks may be while trying to find employment. So that's just another option. Also vets. You could get your veterinary degree here, and that is a very, very lucrative field. Plus, you get to work with dogs and cats and stuff. That's awesome. Okay, and you've heard also talk of the bachelor's degree during this program. But bachelor's degree is one of the two most common degrees. Or I'm sorry, the two most common bachelor's degrees are Bachelor's of Arts and Bachelor's of Science. So just like there's an AA and an AS, your Associates of Arts and your Associates of Science, there's a Bachelor's of Arts and a Bachelor's of Science. And those are the counterparts that you would pursue after you got your associate's degree. And like I talked about earlier, those will follow in the studies but become more advanced as you pursue them. Okay, and these bachelor's degree is a bachelor's degree is 3 to 6 years at a college or university combined. Okay, so and these all have minimum requirements that are different too. Certain bachelor's degree programs have GPA requirements. Certain bachelor's degree programs have lab requirements or intern requirements, or it's really specific. So couldn't really give you an answer as to what they all require, because they're all really different. Oh, here's another pro tip. Students should consider dual enrollment opportunities while in high school, which is basically you are allowed to experience college while you're in high school, and this is 100% free. You could take a community college course that is offered at community college, at the actual community college, or online if that's the case now. And it's 100% free, and you're getting community college credit. So it's kind of like how AA classes, or I'm sorry, AP classes give you community college credit also, which is huge, but when you take AP classes, you have to not only take all the classes, but you have to pass the AP test at the end in order for any of those AP credits to apply to your college. So, this path, however, is you take the community college course while you're in high school for free, and whatever grade you get, if you pass it, and you get the credit. It's like that. You don't have to pass some grand test at the end. So this is super cool. I wish I would have known about it because not only does it let you, experience what it's like to be a community college, but you're working towards your future at the same time. Okay, and a lot of community colleges also offer summer courses that you could start in the summer right out of high school, and you will be way ahead of the freshmen when they enter community college after the summer if they so choose. Okay, so if you think you can handle it, then you can really get ahead of the game here. Okay, this is a super awesome opportunity and it's 100% free. I wish I had known. Okay, so here it is. How hard is community college? So very common question, very reasonable question. And the honest answer is that college classes are definitely harder than high school classes. Okay, and I'm going to tell you why. So the topics, they are more complicated, and that's good. We're moving forward in our academic careers. We're challenging ourselves more. Okay, but the learning is more fast paced, and it's more you're more responsible. Okay, there's more responsibility on you to take your education into your own hands, because in community college, nobody will hold your hand. Okay, that's what makes it hard. But that doesn't mean they're harder to do well in. That just means that the level that you're going to take responsibility for your success in community college is more on your shoulders than it was in high school. Okay, but there are so many resources available to you, and I talked about just some of them. Okay, not even all of them. So keep that in mind. Be prepared to be challenged, but that's why we want to challenge ourselves now. Okay. Oh, and this is just something really important to me, and it's a quote by JFK, John F. Kennedy, and it was about the moon, to be honest. But this is something I told myself over and over again when I was in college, or even when I'm challenged today. Okay, and I'm going to read it to you. We choose to do things not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills, because that challenge is one that we are willing to accept and one that we are unwilling to postpone, and one which we intend to win. So I would always tell myself, oh man, that looks hard. I guess I got to do it. I would pursue the hardest challenges I could find just to challenge myself, and I would not give up. I would challenge myself for the sake of challenging myself. I would not take the easy courses. I would not take the. I took the hardest ones I could find, and that was just something I was comfortable in doing because I love to challenge myself. Because I know that I can do anything I set my mind to because I have a growth mindset. That's just me, and I'm encouraging you guys to also take it upon yourselves to have a growth mindset, and and take on challenges. Careful that you don't take off more than you can chew, but challenge yourself, because I think that you will also be surprised by how successful you will be. Okay, so we just talked about, can high school students take community college courses? And yes, they can. You are eligible to enroll in courses that are not provided by your high school, but that community college offers, that are available to you. And also, you could start taking community college right after high school in the summer. Okay. Oh, you could also take summer classes while in high school. True. Doesn't matter how well I do in high school. This is so important, you guys. Because yes, it does. Okay. It definitely matters. And I'm going to talk to you about that a little more in detail. Doesn't mean you can't get into community college if you do bad, because all you got to do to get into community college is like, be older than 18, afford it, and, be able to complete it and test it and complete it. But it definitely matters how well you do in high school, because that will determine how long you stay in community college, how hard community college is for you, how expensive it is, and there's so many other things. So, oh yeah, here, pro tip: not trying hard in high school will make college more difficult, more expensive, and take longer. And that's just a fact. Okay, and this is a good example of how that's true. So you guys are all familiar with your A through G requirements, I'm hoping. And those are the high school courses that are meant to prepare you for going on in your education. And if you look at this chart, there's two columns of numbers. The column on the left has the minimum basic requirements to get you out of high school, or just like that's the minimum that they're required to teach you. The figures on the right are the maximum amount. So basically, if you were to complete high school having completed the maximum amount of courses That means, history and science, history and social science, you took 3 to 4 years while you're in high school. You took all 4 years of English. You took 4 years of math. You took 3 to 4 years of lab sciences. You took 3 to 4 years of languages other than English. You took 2 years of visual and performing arts, and you took your 1 year of electives. Then you can basically shave off like a year of community college. Like that's for real. All right, that's a year of potential tuition. That's a year of cost of living. That's a year of your time. And not only that, but if you were to do that, do this, do the maximum, and save that time, it takes so much pressure off your community college years. You can actually have fun. You can actually enjoy yourself. You can actually be in clubs and stuff like that. Go to the games, do all this fun stuff instead of having to struggle while you're there. Okay. And being super, super busy because you didn't do what you were supposed to do when you're in high school. All right. So in order to be a competitive candidate, you must take courses beyond the minimum requirements, you guys. That's just plain old fact. Okay. And also, this is just take advantage of this time now, because you could give yourself so much more time in the future when it's way more fun. Okay. Just work hard now. Okay. It pays off. Okay, this was just another poll, and I wanted to see what students were thinking about whether they wanted to do the minimum or the maximum. Okay, that was a fun poll. Okay, so how do I know if I'm prepared for college level work? This is another really reasonable question. I get asked a lot. So you could take college prep courses while you're in high school, test and test well in those, see how you're doing. And if you don't test well, then just practice some more and take the test again until you are proficient. You could also request to take the extended English and math STAR tests, which all high schools are required to offer. Sometimes you just might have to ask for it, and I think you might want to start thinking about that junior year. You could also take the expanded CSU version, which basically is the test that CSUs offer to high school students, because if you could test proficient in that, then you're basically ready for their curriculum at the CSU level. Okay, and so here's some advice I would give students while they're still in high school. To improve your college readiness, take the most rigorous college preparation courses you can while in high school. That may mean honors classes, that may mean AP classes, that may mean, taking the dual enrollment like we talked about, okay? And be ready for the challenges that you're gonna, sign up for, because they are challenging, but that's what we're here for, okay? And Bright Prospect is also here to support you. Take math all 4 years. That is huge, you guys. If you can take math all 4 years, you're gonna have a way better time in the future. Okay. Take advantage of the early assessment programs that we're just talking about right now, like the CSU's early assessment test. And you could also take community college assessment and placement exams if you want. I know that they've changed a little bit now. You don't necessarily remediate, but if you don't test well, in addition to taking a specific course that you test low in, they make you take another course alongside of it. That's basically like taking 2 courses that equal one course. So try to avoid that, because you don't get the credit for taking 2. You get you take the course and then you take a support course alongside of it that you also have to complete, but that you don't get credit for. So it's kind of like the new way to remediate. Okay. This is important because you want to research your options before you commit to a community college, because like we talked about, they offer different transfer programs to their local CSUs or universities. And you could also explore the community college website like we talked about to get a lot of resources that are available to you. This is another piece of very important information. Enroll in community college and in financial aid on time. So start thinking about that your senior year, okay? Because competition for community college is increasing, especially during the pandemic. People are taking the time to go back to school. And when there's competition, that means that, now you have to stack up against others. So there's a little bit more competition. And that, start taking that early as possible, your 12th grade, and take it seriously. Is there any way to be admitted to the university of my choice? Well, is there? I wonder. Yes, the transfer program agreement that we've been talking about. I've done this. This is how I went to UCLA. Community college is a first step to a bachelor's degree, you guys. Just like I just told you, I got my my AAT at Fullerton College. And when I got that AAT, I completed all the steps that they told me to do, and I completed my end. I got the GPA, and they're like, all right, let's go. You're off to UCLA. And I highly recommend, if you guys have the same desire to get a bachelor's degree, then that you would pursue AA or AST. So here's a pro tip, and this is a huge one. A lot of people don't know this, that community college transfer students are first in line at UC campuses. UCs give first priority to eligible community college transfer students over all others, including transfers from CSUs. So, I mean, that is so huge. Like, so basically what they're saying, like, let's say you had the option of going from out of high school, going straight to a community college, or going straight to a CSU out of high school. UCLA would take the student who went to a community college as opposed to a CSU, which is just amazing. I mean, because they really love community college students. Because that community college students are so prepared when they get there, and they have higher graduation rates. Okay, UCs and CSUs do not require admission tests for transfer students also. Okay, so basically, when you transfer from a community college into a university, UC, that's UC Berkeley, UCLA, UC Irvine, all the big ones. You start there as a junior in a university with just a junior and senior year to go before you got your bachelor's degree and your first line priority. That is so cool. So like I talked about, there are steps to the transfer agreement, and this is basically how it goes. It's pretty simple. You just got to choose your coursework. That's like, what do you want to major in? Are you going to major in math? Are you going to major bio? Are you going to major in political science? Whatever, just choose it, stick with it. Don't go back and change it. Just stick with it. And when you do that, they're going to give you this piece of paper that has all the general education you need to complete, and all the specific prep classes, and all the prerequisites, and all the courses that you must take in order to complete your part of the agreement, of the transfer agreement. Okay, so it's really easy. They gave you a breakdown and you just follow it. Check off the list. Okay, it also give you choices. So within this category, choose between these courses. It's a lot of options. But you must also meet the minimum eligibility according to your agreement, and that's often be in good standing, and that's often a GPA requirement. Okay, and some are more selective than others, so that's true. So make sure you understand the agreement that you sign up for. Okay, these are just some advantages to pursuing this path. Okay, it allows you to transfer while you're preparing for your bachelor's degree. It creates a clearer pathway for upper division major coursework, so you don't have to waste time taking classes you don't need, and time is money. I know I took so many classes I didn't need to take, spending all that money, didn't need to do it. Okay, and then you also get guaranteed priority administration to the USC or the CSU. So those are the three big takeaways for the three main advantages for this program. Okay, and this is the activity. So if you're making up this activity is due January 21st by the end of the day. And this is something I really, really want to know. What are your academic or career aspirations, and why? So what do you want to go to college? Do you want to have a career? What do you want to do? It's a minimum 3 to 5 sentences, no limit. I'm just really interested in knowing, what do you want to do with your life? And how do you plan to get there? And the second question, this is for me, minimum 2 to 3 sentences. What area of writing and reading are you struggling with the most? What areas would you like help the most? So is it grammar? Is it punctuation, spelling? What do you struggle with? Is it reading? Let me know, because maybe I can help you out with that. Okay. So thank you for joining me today, and keep an eye out for the next one. Thanks, everyone. I look forward to your answers. Have a good one.